The millionaire shocks as he touches the black, homeless woman he left behind 10 years ago. The buzz was electric outside the grand hospital lobby. Flashing cameras, gasps from onlookers, murmurs swelling like a thunderstorm. Henry Thomas, the man everyone called the miracle neurosurgeon, the perfect fiancé to Patricia, and the embodiment of success, was caught in a moment no one expected. A moment that shattered the flawless glass of his world. There she was. A woman wrapped in tattered clothes, skin cracked and eyes haunted. The kind of sight that pulls at your heart, but also freezes you in place. A black woman, leaning on a battered shopping cart, clutching herself against the cold. And Henry, polished and calm 1 second, suddenly shaky the next, reached out, touched her hand. Whispers exploded. Is that really him? The millionaire touching a homeless woman? Who is she? Why now? A flash of recognition, but no one knew what stirred inside Henry. The truth? A decade ago, he'd left her behind. Lana was her name, the woman he promised to love, the dream they once shared, the life he abandoned chasing his fortune and prestige. Now, fate dragged him back, crash-landing him into a trauma he thought was buried forever. A car accident on his way to discuss marriage plans with Patricia had smashed not just his body but his very reality. The pain in his bones forced him into a hospital bed under the care of someone he never expected. Lana, or was it? Was the nurse who quietly tended to him. There was something familiar in her hands, steady, strong, filled with quiet secrets. But she wore a mask. No trace of the girl he once held close. She hid her past, her pain mingled with a fierce independence that cut sharper than any scalpel. Days crawled by. Henry felt a strange pull toward his caregiver. A silent language crossed between them, glances, small smiles, an almost forgotten melody of shared pain. Yet, in her eyes, anger simmered deep beneath care, a guarded fortress built from years of betrayal. She didn't speak of their past. She never would. Meanwhile, Patricia's eyes narrowed. Jealousy and suspicion grew like poison in the corners of her smile. She watched Henry, puzzled, uneasy, fearing the fragile life they built might topple under a weight it wasn't ready for. Still, in the quiet of the night, Henry's hands trembled, not from pain, but confusion. His heart hammered, caught between two worlds, torn between the woman he never stopped loving and the future he dutifully planned. And then it happened. A slip, a forgotten patch of her nurse ID badge, caught between hospital sheets. The name Lana stared back at him, a flash of a past too vivid to deny. His breath caught, his chest tightened. How could the woman he left behind be the one holding his broken life together? What would he do now? The storm was just beginning. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube has removed their subscriptions without warning. Just take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss out on any exclusive content coming your way. And while you're there, leave the powerful like that helps me a lot with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know all the amazing people who are part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. His breath caught. His chest tightened. How could the woman he left behind be the one holding his broken life together? The questions crashed in waves against his mind, each one dragging him deeper into confusion. As he sat there with her name echoing in his thoughts, the hospital buzzed around them. Nurses glided past, patients shuffled by, but all he could see was her, a ghost of his past, resurrected in tattered clothes. The anger simmering behind her kind eyes stirred something inside him, yet clarity eluded him. Then came a loud crash. The hospital lobby erupted in chaos. A man burst through the doors, shouting in a frenzied panic, "Call security! They're coming!" His clothes were disheveled, sweat glistening on his forehead. People turned, fear rippling through the crowd. Henry's heart raced. Was this a threat? Patricia stepped closer to him, her eyes wide with alarm. "What's happening?" she asked, glancing at Henry, then back at the man. "Who's coming?" Henry demanded. Those people from the shelter. They found her. The man's voice pierced through the anxious buzz. They've been tracking her down for years, wanting to take her back. Lana's face paled, the color draining from her cheeks like paint washed off a canvas. "No, I can't go back." She moved instinctively toward Henry, but he felt her pain, the kind that seared under your skin. He reached out to her, but she recoiled. "What are you talking about? Who are they?" Henry's voice was rising, laced with anger and confusion. "Her family," the man said, breathless. "They've been looking for her everywhere. You don't understand how bad it was." Suddenly, the doors burst open again. Figures in dark clothing surged in, a group of men and women, their faces twisted with desperation and anger. The atmosphere thickened, tension crackling like a live wire. "Lana!" one woman shouted, tears streaming down her face. "We found you! Come home!" A surge of emotions flashed across Lana's face. Shock, dread, and something that looked like a weak glimmer of hope. The crowd held its breath. Patricia narrowed her eyes, a dark cloud taking form above her as she paced anxiously beside Henry. Henry looked at Lana, her face a tempest of feelings he couldn't decipher. "Is this true? Are they your family?" he asked slowly, his voice barely above a whisper. Lana shook her head, disbelief etched on her features. "No, it's not what you think. I left for a reason." Panic clouded her eyes, wild and frantic. "Why didn't you tell me? What are they to you?" Henry demanded, desperation clawing at his throat. Before she could respond, a man from the group stepped forward, his posture rigid. "She was taken from us. We want her back home where she belongs. We have to protect her." The room froze as their eyes locked, Henry's confusion against the man's fierce determination. The truth throbbed in the air, thick enough to choke on. Lana's breath came quick, her hands trembling. "I didn't want to go back. I thought I could be free. I thought you'd find me." "Find you?" Henry's voice shook. "You were gone. I thought you wanted a different life." And came the blow. A rift opened in the space between them. "But you were the one who left," she shouted, her voice breaking. "You chose success over me." The crowd now hung on every word, eyes wide, hearts racing. A chorus of whispers erupted. Who was right? Whose lies had woven their fates into this twisted tapestry? Suddenly, the truth took a turn. A deep, piercing scream tore through the silence. A different woman, someone in the newly arrived group, collapsed. "She's going into shock!" A cry broke from somewhere deep within her. All eyes turned, horror spreading. The lights flickered. The air grew colder. Henry felt a surge of dread. As chaos unfolded, old secrets and painful choices danced around them like shadows. What was real? What was true? In that instant, everything shifted. The lines between past and present blurred, and a darkness wrapped around them. No one would leave unscathed. The storm was just beginning. The chaos intensified as the figure lay sprawled on the floor. The woman gasped for air, fingers clawing at her throat. Voices swirled, panic swelling like a tide. Henry's heart hammered in his chest. "Someone help her!" Time slowed. The crowd divided, half drawn to the commotion, half fixated on the confrontation between Lana and the group charging toward them. Henry's eyes darted back and forth, wrestling with the growing storm that churned in the pit of his stomach. Lana's face contorted, terror etching every feature. "Henry, please!" Then the unexpected struck. The woman convulsed. A loud, guttural gasp tore through the air. "Don't leave me, please!" she cried, and the anguished sound sliced through the chaos like glass shattering. The group surged forward, but Henry moved instinctively, drawn to the scene. He dropped to the ground beside the woman, his mind racing. "What happened? What's wrong?" The crowd closed in, murmurs intertwining. Fear gripped the atmosphere. A chill settled, like ice creeping down his spine. Lana reached toward him, desperation in her eyes. "Henry, get away. They're trying to take me back. I won't let them," he shouted, locking eyes with the man who claimed to know her. "Why doesn't she just come home?" The man stepped closer, the urgency in his voice rising again. "You don't understand. She doesn't belong here. I beg you to listen." But Henry's focus shifted back to the woman who lay there, frail and fading. An aura of darkness cloaked the room. Then came the shocking twist. The woman suddenly turned her head and locked eyes with Lana. "Lana," she whispered, voice hoarse, "you can't run anymore. The truth is coming for you." A sudden hush fell. The world around them stilled, eyes wide with disbelief. Henry turned to Lana. What does she mean? A storm brewed behind her gaze. Rage, sorrow, recognition. "I didn't mean to hide it. I thought I could escape. I thought I could forget." The crowd gasped, whispers crawling like vines. Henry's heart sank deeper. "Forget what? What truth? What's happening?" Suddenly, it felt as if the ground trembled. The woman on the floor's voice grew louder, shaky but resolute. "You were never lost. You were stolen. You don't even know who you really are. None of us do." Air escaped Henry's lungs, leaving him breathless. The revelation hung like a storm cloud, dark and unyielding. "What do you mean, stolen?" His voice was barely more than a whisper. Lana covered her mouth, her eyes widening like saucers. No, not here, not now." The woman's voice cut through the tension like a blade. "You have to know, Lana. You can't run forever from this. But then the ground shook more violently, a tremor that rocked everyone off balance. The hospital itself seemed to quake, lights flickering like a heartbeat nearing its end. Screams erupted as people stumbled, a wave of confusion descending. Henry grasped Lana's arm, dread filling his chest. What are they saying? Are you hiding something? Is it about your family? The storm in the room intensified. The woman writhed, struggling against the floor. And suddenly, chaos erupted once more. A flash of blue lights pierced the lobby as police vehicles screeched to a halt outside, sirens wailing like banshees. Families and friends saw their chance to escape, yet Henry felt rooted to the spot. There was something more, something earth-shattering, shaking the foundations of everything he believed. The crowd split again, rushing towards the exits. But Henry and Lana stood paralyzed, caught in the storm of truth and chaos. What if they are right? She murmured, eyes brimming with pain. And for the first time, the fractures in her composed facade shattered into pieces. Lana, he began, but words escaped him. Outside, the world was descending into panic, but the true storm surged between them, a force undeniable, binding them to secrets they both feared to unwrap. The truth was clawing its way to the surface. Darkness loomed, waiting to consume them. What fate awaited in the shadows, and would they both survive? As the chaos unfolded, the air crackled with tension, each heartbeat echoing like a drum in Henry's ears. The woman on the floor gasped, her eyes wide with panic as she fought for breath. Around them, confusion reigned. People jockeyed for position between the drama unfolding before them and the sirens wailing just outside. Then, Lana's face paled, and she swayed, uncertainty mingling with fear. What do you mean?" she asked, trembling, a quiver in her voice. You can't be saying what I think you are." The woman on the floor locked eyes with her, desperation etched in every line. "You know the truth. You can't run from it anymore. You're still connected to them. To us." Henry felt like he was caught in a whirlpool, every word pulling him deeper into uncertainty. "What truth? What are you talking about?" he shouted, fighting to be heard over the rising tide of confusion. Before the woman could reply, another tremor shook the floor, more violent this time, rocking everyone as the lights flickered ominously. People lost their balance, fear mirrored in every expression, but Henry's gaze was fixed on Lana. Lana's eyes glistened with tears as something shifted behind them. A shadow moved through the crowd, a figure emerging from the chaos, tall and imposing. Henry squinted, trying to make out the face. Then recognition struck like a thunderbolt. "Ethan!" Henry exclaimed as the figure stepped into the light. Ethan was Lana's brother, the one she had said was lost to the streets. A ghost she had tried to forget. Memories crashed through Henry's mind. Back then, a boy full of dreams. Now a man with eyes darkened by shadows. "You shouldn't be here!" Lana screamed, and the tremor in her voice sent shivers down Henry's spine. "Why shouldn't I?" Ethan shouted back, his voice cracking like ice. "You think you can just disappear! You don't get to run!" For a split second, time froze, every heartbeat loud as thunder. The crowd held its breath, caught in the riptide of their confrontation. Henry's head swam with confusion. "What is this? What's happening?" "No, it's not," Lana stammered, stepping back. dread thickening the air around them. "You don't understand. I thought you were dead!" Ethan roared, anger radiating like heat. "They said you were gone. They told me you'd never come back. But here you are, playing happy nurse while we've been searching for you for years." Henry's heart sank. This was not the reunion of heroes, but the revelation of betrayal. "What do you mean, searching?" he asked, panic pushing the edge of his voice. Then, as if slashing through the tension, the woman on the floor screamed again. "Lana, the truth is dangerous. If they find you, they'll take you back for good." Without warning, Ethan lunged forward, arms stretched out, grasping Lana by the shoulders. The incessant din of chaos faded as he peered into her eyes. "You can't go back to them! You have to leave!" "Leave? But—" A loud crash erupted from the entrance. Glass shattered, and everyone turned. A group in dark clothing surged in, faces twisted in determination, eyes hungry for confrontation. "Where is she?" one shouted, voice booming. "We've found her! She belongs with us!" Henry felt the ground drop beneath his feet. Who were these people? Panic surged through him. "Lana, don't!" he yelled, pulling her towards him. But the darkness in her gaze twisted into something unrecognizable. "Henry, it's not what you think," she cried. But the words fell into the storm of panic. The figures advanced, and Henry's world shifted again. Images of love, betrayal, and secrets colliding in a way he'd never expected. In that moment, everything unraveled, realities shattering like the glass on the ground. The truth they'd all masked in silence, buried under years of shame, was clawing its way up from the depths. "Are you ready to face what you've hidden?" Ethan posed, glaring into Lana's eyes, then turned to the advancing crowd. "Because you can't run anymore." And as the lights flickered back on, illuminating faces pale with shock, Henry held his breath, the air thick with suspense. Would the past consume them all? The storm wasn't finished. It was just beginning, each heartbeat echoing unanswered questions in its wake. The chaos continued to spiral. Ethan's anger radiated, igniting the tension in the air like a match striking fire. "You can't hide from us, Lana!" The fear in her eyes felt raw enough to slice through the crowd. Henry's thoughts raced, moving faster than his heart. Every second felt like a lifetime. His instincts screamed at him to protect her, to shield her from whatever storm was brewing around them. But how? He was torn between his loyalty to Lana and the aching uncertainty of what this all meant. "Stop!" Henry shouted, taking a step forward. His mind swirled with confusion. "You say she can't go back. What are you talking about?" "Years of searching, years of lies," Ethan replied, his voice thick with emotion. "They took her, Henry. If she goes back, they'll just repeat the cycle." The urgency in the space swelled as the dark figures stepped closer. One striding boldly, glancing around the room before locking eyes with Lana, spoke with authority. "You belong with us. You've always belonged with us." Then, without warning, the woman on the floor screamed again. "Lana, please, don't let them take you. The truth will destroy everything." As if pulled by an invisible thread, all eyes turned to her, silenced by surprise and fear, every voice in the room vanished, leaving a stillness that felt like a heavy blanket. Lana's lips trembled. "What do you mean? What truth?" Before the woman could respond, emergency lights flickered, casting an eerie glow over their faces. A loud noise echoed. Someone from the crowd had shoved through, a medic, rushing in with urgency and purpose. "We need to get her stabilized," he yelled, motioning for help. But in that mix, when their attention lingered on the woman's distress, a piercing sound broke through, a gunshot, sharp and deafening. The crowd gasped collectively, fear slicing through the air. Moments crystallizing in shock, the medic fell to the ground, a shocked expression on his face, eyes wide and glassy. Both Henry and Lana instinctively dove to the side, hearts racing. The crowd surged backward, heads snapping toward the source of the shot, eyes wild with terror. But it wasn't just panic, it was confusion blended with disbelief. The crowd migrated like a wave, but amid the chaos, something shifted. A figure stepped forward, holding the gun. Standing tall, like a dark shadow against the franti, it was a woman, disheveled, intense. "No one is leaving, not until the truth comes out." Lana looked horrified, her eyes darting between the gun and Ethan. "What have you done?" she whispered, tears spilling down her cheeks. The woman sneered, brandishing the weapon. "You thought you could flee? You thought any of this would be easy? This all ties back to you, Lana. They will find you." Henry's pulse raced. He peered between them, heart thumping painfully. The truth, buried under layers of secrets, was clawing to the surface. "It's not just about you anymore," the woman yelled, her voice laced with venom. "It's about everything you left behind." The room held its breath, the air tense with dread. Lana quivered. And for the first time, Henry saw something deeper in her eyes. Fear mixed with a raw vulnerability that shattered his heart. "Stay back!" Ethan shouted, stepping protectively in front of her, eyes locked on the woman with the gun. Then, just as the tension reached a boiling point, the woman suddenly collapsed. Eyes rolling back as if the weight of everything dragged her down. Gasps spread through the crowd. Shockwaves of confusion rippling outward. But something was off. As she fell, her jacket flared open just enough for Henry to see a badge. An investigator's badge, glinting in the fluorescent lights. The weight of its meaning hung heavy, like a noose tightening. "Wait!" Henry said, confusion morphing into dread. You're not here to take her. You were sent to protect her?" The pieces shifted like a chaotic puzzle, the truth veering off in a direction no one expected. Everything Henry believed started crumbling, a house of cards teetering on the brink. "Lana, what did you do?" Henry whispered, the words barely escaping his lips as dread filled the air, suffocating him. And then the sirens outside became louder, blaring a warning, as the storm of chaos twisted back toward their truth. Just when it seemed the nightmare might end, it only morphed into something darker. The crowd surged, electricity sparked, and the walls were closing in on secrets that would not rest easy. The storm wasn't done yet. It was only just beginning. The storm of confusion echoed around them, each moment stretching, twisting into something unrecognizable. Henry knelt beside the fallen woman, his heart racing as he watched the scene unfold, like a slow-motion nightmare. Lana stood frozen, her eyes wide, a cascade of emotions flickering across her face. Fear, anger, regret. Ethan loomed protectively near them, breathing heavily, ready to fight if the situation called for it. Lana! The woman's voice cracked, pulling everyone's focus back to her. You need to confront this. You need to stop pretending. Her words hung in the air like a bubble ready to burst, tension thick enough to slice. No, no more lies, Ethan shouted, and the crowd murmured, tainted with disbelief. Then it happened. A flash of movement. Something darted from the corner of the lobby, breaking through the chaos. A figure, small yet powerful, burst into the scene. A child, no more than 8, wide-eyed with innocence. She looked similar to Lana, a reflection of lost time, a ghost pulling at threads long buried in the past. "Mom!" the girl screamed, voice filled with panic and longing. "Mom, please don't leave me!" Everyone gasped. Sounds of shock and murmurs filled the air like a shifting tide. Lana's expression shifted from fear to horror. Dawning realization crashing over her like waves in a thunderstorm. No, it can't be. Her voice trembled, breaking as she took a step back, as if the air suddenly thickened. Who is she? Henry asked, feeling the icy grip of dread tighten around him. His mind spun, wanting to connect the dots, but finding only scattered pieces. It's... Lana stammered, her throat constricting, tears spilling over as she faced the little girl. You shouldn't be here! Mom, they're going to take you away, the child cried, reaching out. Her voice filled with desperation, carved into Henry's heart. Please don't go. She's your daughter? The jarring question burst from Ethan's lips, disbelief etched on his face. Lana shook her head violently, denying the truth, but her fractured facade was crumbling under the weight of revelation. I thought I didn't... The woman on the floor gasped, the tension thick around them suddenly flipping into chaos once more. This was the truth I was trying to protect you from, she wheezed, collapsing further onto the unforgiving ground. But with that admission, the storm shifted dramatically. The confusion spiraled like leaves caught in a raging wind, carrying shards of heart-wrenching truth. Was she taken? Henry's voice sliced through the din, the pieces now aligning with painful clarity. Lana, what happened? Turned to the child, her expression twisting in agony. No, please, I had to let you go. I thought it was safer. Safer? The girl shouted back, the fragility of her voice intertwining with an undeniable strength. Look where that got us. You don't get to choose for me. Enough! The woman gasped, raising a shaky hand. They'll come for you, Lana. They'll take her too if you don't act now. Suddenly, the scenery outside erupted. Police officers stormed into the lobby, filling the space with chaos, shouts, orders, and a clash of authority. Everyone, stay back. We're looking for a suspect. Their boots echoed aggressively on the tile, shattering the fragile atmosphere like glass shattering underfoot. Cold fingers of frightening reality tightened around Henry's heart. Behind it all, the shadows, lurking now, moved closer, each flicker of uncertainty surging into panic. What do you mean, suspect? He yelled, adrenaline pushing him forward, everything was shifting beneath them. Relationships, truths, the very essence of their lives was in the balance, teetering on the edge of chaos. As the officers approached, the air grew heavy with impending doom. But in an unexpected twist, the atmosphere shifted again. Something flickered in the eyes of the female officer at the front. She stepped forward, locking eyes with Lana and the child. Recognition dawning on her features. "Lana, I know you. You're not running anymore, are you?" What? Henry felt the ground beneath him shift once more. Every reality he thought he knew, shattering like glass. "Get back!" Ethan shouted, face pale with realization. The officer raised her hand, and that's when the truth sank, deeper than anything Henry had ever felt. A childhood, a promise lost, and now fate was calling them all back again. Lana's mind raced, a storm of choices, love, and sacrifice she never expected. What happens now? The room held its breath, all eyes locked on the new twist of fate, the unexpected convergence of paths. What truly lay beneath the surface? Would they survive? The storm had transformed into a whirlwind, and it was only just beginning. The moment hung heavy. Everyone frozen in place, breaths shallow and quick, as the officer's recognition rippled through the lobby. Lana's eyes darted back and forth, fear flooding her features. "What do you mean I'm not running?" she whispered, almost pleading for clarity in the chaos. The officer stepped closer, her gaze steady, locking onto Lana's with an intensity that made Henry's heart race. "You know exactly what I mean. You can't hide from what they want. They want you back." "No!" Lana recoiled, her voice shaking as she reached for the child, who stood wide-eyed and terrified. I can't go back! Please!" Panic twisted in her voice. Then, as if the universe decided to unleash a new storm, a deafening crash erupted. The glass doors of the hospital slammed open once more, and in poured a group of men dressed in dark suits, their expressions menacing. The air thickened with tension, an electric buzz that held everyone captive. "Lana!" one of the men yelled, voice booming. "We know you're here! We don't need to do this the hard way!" His eyes scanned the room, landing on her like a hawk eyeing its prey. "Run!" Henry shouted, adrenaline surging through him. He grasped Lana's arm without thinking, his grip fierce. The little girl screamed, and chaos emerged. People turned, panicking, rushing to escape the impending confrontation. But Lana stood frozen, caught in the tempest of her past. "Don't!" Ethan shouted, stepping between them. Henry felt helpless, torn between the need to protect Lana and the urge to flee. But before he could move, the woman on the floor pushed herself up weakly, gasping for air. "Stop! They'll kill you all!" she cried, her voice hoarse, but her eyes glinting with urgency. "You don't understand. You're not the only ones they want." That revelation landed like a brick. Henry felt the weight of her words, their gravity pulling everyone's attention back to her. "What do you mean?" he demanded, dread creeping into his gut. "Lana is tied to this, to them, to everything. She's not just anyone. She's their key." The woman collapsed back onto the ground, her energy spent, the truth she held clawing to the surface. "What key?" Henry asked, his heart racing, confusion squeezing his chest. And then, without warning, The world shifted. The ceiling lights flickered violently, casting an eerie glow across the room. A loud thud echoed in the stillness, and suddenly, the dark-suited men sprang forward, their intentions clear. "Get her!" one shouted. Time slowed as a figure pushed past the chaos, revealing itself to be Patricia, Henry's fiancée, eyes wild with determination. "Get away from him, you monsters!" she screamed, stepping boldly in front of him. "What are you doing?" Henry exclaimed, shock flooding his voice. "Get back!" But Patricia stood firm, unwavering. "This ends here!" she yelled, her gaze unmistakably fierce. "You think you can claim someone else's life? Not on my watch." Before anyone could process her words, she yanked something from her bag, a small glistening device that sparkled like a diamond under the harsh lights. Everyone froze, eyes wide with surprise. "Patricia, no!" Henry yelled, but it was too late. As she pressed the button, a blinding flash erupted, instantly engulfing the room in a storm of light. People screamed, stumbling as the wave of energy surged through them. Henry felt the grip of reality twist, time warping around them in a whirlpool of brightness. And then silence, absolute stillness. The sounds faded, the chaos halted, as if the world held its breath. And out of that silence came a voice, deep, resonant, familiar. "You've made your choice, Lana. Now face the consequences." The darkness took hold, pulling at everything, erasing their surroundings. A sense of foreboding loomed. Hearts raced. Confusion hung like fog, each person inching closer to the precipice of the unknown. Just as quickly as it began, the world reformed, shattered pieces, restructuring into something alien. They stood together again, but everything felt wrong, disjointed, unreal. Henry looked around, scanning the unfamiliar faces, searching for the warmth of familiarity. Where was the nurse? The child? What reality was this? "Where are we?" he gasped, blood pounding in his ears as the chilling realization dawned. This was a different place, a different time. And standing before them, arms crossed, eyes gleaming with an eerie certainty, was the woman from the floor. Only now she wore a sharp suit, confidence radiating from her. "Welcome to the real world, Henry. Welcome to the truth." And with that, the storm of secrets unfolded, a violent explosion waiting to consume them all. Whatever they thought they knew was just the surface of an ocean filled with darkness, and now they would have to dive deep into the unknown. The tension, her presence felt like a looming shadow, cutting through the light that had just moments ago bathed them in confusion. "Welcome to the real world, Henry," she repeated, voice dripping with certainty. "Welcome to the truth." Before anyone could respond, a loud, crashing noise erupted, sending vibrations through the floor. The glass doors of the hospital, wide open just a moment ago, slammed shut, locking them in. Panic erupted like a shaken soda can, spilling over. "What's happening?" Henry shouted, his eyes darting around, looking for an escape. Lana's face paled as she realized they were trapped. "What did you do?" she nearly whimpered, voice trembling. "Nothing," the woman replied with a cold smile. "But now the real game begins." The lights flickered, casting ominous shadows, across the faces, frozen in fear. Ethan clenched his fists, eyes blazing with anger, stepping protectively in front of Lana and the child, who clung to her. "You'll regret this," he snarled, absolutely furious yet terrified. But then with an uncanny speed, the suited woman held up her hand, and everyone froze. "Let me introduce you to someone who knows the truth better than any of us," she purred, revealing a hidden compartment on her tablet device. A moment later, she pressed a button, and in an instant, a hologram materialized before them. It flickered to life, revealing a familiar face. Patricia's face, distorted but unmistakable. "What the hell?" Henry gasped, confusion flooding his gut, washing away the remnants of adrenaline. "Why is she here?" "Because she's been a part of this all along," the woman said, her voice low, smooth, as if enjoying the spectacle. "Patricia knows something you don't." As Patricia's holographic image flickered more clearly, her eyes met Henry's, filled with an emotion he couldn't quite decipher. A mix of regret and something darker, something secretive. "Henry, why didn't you tell me?" he shouted, heart pounding wildly. Before Patricia could respond, a hologram began to shake violently. "We've got to move," she implored, her image flickering dangerously. "It's coming for you, Lana." "Coming for me?" Lana's voice was barely above a whisper, eyes wide, terror etched across her face. "What do you mean? Who?" Then, just as the tension peaked, the lights went out entirely. Darkness blanketed the room, a weight pressing down. Henry's heart raced faster than ever. "Lana!" he yelled, reaching out, grasping at air. Suddenly, a brilliant flash erupted, blinding and fierce. As things settled, a figure emerged from the light. Glaring eyes and a smile that sent chills down Henry's spine. "Surprise!" the figure laughed, voice dripping with mockery. "I'm back, and now it's truly game over, folks." "Him?" Henry's voice cracked, recognition dawning. It was someone he never wished to see again. An old adversary, a specter of his past, woven into this web of chaos. The very architect of everything they feared. "What do you want?" Ethan stepped forward, fists clenched again. Fear turned to anger. "Simple," the figure sneered. "To expose every lie. Especially yours, Henry. You've been living a fairy tale, but the real story is just beginning." In that instant, things shifted. The walls seemed to pulse, breath hitching in every throat. All the relationships they held dear began to splinter, framing a new reality that warped and twisted everything they thought they were fighting for. "No," Henry whispered again. But it was too late. The storm had arrived, and now it was personal. Each secret, each betrayal was about to come crashing down. Ha 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 ha. And they'd have to face not just their pasts, but the wild truth waiting in the shadows. The stakes rose higher than ever. Would they survive the flood of revelations that threatened to drown them all? In the swirling chaos, the lines blurred, and now their destinies intertwine in ways they never expected. "Now, face the consequences," her voice echoed ominously. Then everything flipped again. The lights flickered violently until they suddenly went out, plunging the room into complete darkness. For a moment, every sound disappeared, and all that remained was a chilling silence. Henry felt the fear grip him. He reached out blindly, searching for Lana. "Lana! Where are you?" His heart raced, pounding in his chest like a drum. Then, a soft whimper cut through the stillness. "Henry!" It was Lana's voice, trembling. "I can't." And just like that, a blinding light erupted, illuminating the room. But when Henry's eyes adjusted, he saw something he never expected. Something that made his heart drop. His insides twisting into knots. Standing at the forefront of the chaos, eyes wild and filled with unshed tears, was not just Patricia. It was a younger version of her. She looked just like the Patricia he knew, but seemed different, cleansed of the shadows that haunted the present version. "Patricia?" he gasped, confused, the words spilling out like water from a broken wave. Was this some sort of trick? "Henry, I don't have much time," the younger Patricia cried, her eyes darting around the room, urgency painting her every word. "You need to listen to me. The truth, it's not what you think," Lana gasped, a choked sound filled with shock. "What truth? What have you done?" Before anyone could react, the younger Patricia reached out, her voice lowering to a whisper. "I knew it would come to this. We thought we could change the past, but we buried it too deep." The shadows seemed to close in, an almost tangible presence. The suited woman laughed, darkly amused. "What a performance, Patricia! But it won't save you." Henry's mind was racing. "What are you talking about? What did you hide?" Then Patricia took a step forward, and the atmosphere turned electric. It wasn't just Lana they wanted. It was everyone connected to her. The very essence of our lives intertwined with theirs, tied to secrets no one wanted out. Everyone in the room held their breath, the air heavy with dread and disbelief. "Your mother is part of this too," Patricia continued, her gaze piercing through the layers of despair. She wasn't who you thought she was, Henry. None of us are." The floor felt like it dropped away, swallowing Henry's heart whole. "What are you saying? Stop! Just tell me!" The crowd murmured in shock. Confusion swirled like a storm. The suited woman grinned. "What you've known as your family was built on lies." "Lies?" he echoed, voice cracking. "What do you mean?" Then, with a swift motion, she pulled her sleeve back, revealing a scar, a jagged line running down her forearm. "I didn't just know Lana. I was part of the families that took her, the families that destroyed everything." Gasps filled the room. Henry felt the ground slip beneath him. Things can't stay the same anymore. The truth has to come out. The younger Patricia continued, tears cascading down her cheeks. "Only then can we stop the darkness." The shadows loomed heavier, and Henry felt the weight of all this information crash against him like a tidal wave. "You don't understand!" he shouted into the maelstrom. "We don't even know what's real anymore!" But then a loud crash echoed as something shattered in the hallway, drawing everyone's attention, and the walls began to tremble. The emergency lights flickered dimly. A new figure appeared through the smoke, a single silhouette. As it stepped forward, their heart sank further. It was the man from earlier, the one who had been searching for Lana all this time. "Lana!" he yelled through the chaos, eyes fixed only on her. "It's time to go home!" Henry felt something new spark inside him, a gut-wrenching instinct. Was this a rescue or a trap? He stood frozen, caught between two worlds, Lana and the truth, Patricia and the deepening shadows. "What's next?" he murmured, every heartbeat echoing in the turmoil. If everything they knew had been a lie, could they ever escape? Something eerie and dark was brewing, a storm that would change everything. What truth lay ahead, and who could be trusted? Every moment felt like the edge of a knife, and they were all teetering into an abyss of uncertainty. The shadows were closing in, and the game had only just begun. The room was a whirlwind of fear and confusion as the dark-suited man stepped forward, eyes intent on Lana. "It's time to come home!" His voice was gravelly, filled with urgency. "No!" Lana cried, instinctively stepping back, but Ethan was already beside her, shielding her from the looming threat. "You don't get to take her!" The tension crackled like static, and Henry's heart raced. They were trapped, and the storm was closing in fast. The younger Patricia's hologram flickered, her words echoing in the back of his mind. "It will all collapse if you don't face the truth." "Get away from her!" Henry shouted, desperation creeping into his voice. The child clutched Lana's leg, wide-eyed and trembling. The weight of the moment crashed down, suffocating him. This wasn't just about them anymore. It was about a future that was rapidly disappearing. "Henry!" Lana's voice wobbled, catching in her throat. "What do we do?" In that instant, an idea flickered in his mind, a slim chance they hadn't considered. "We have to expose everything! Only the truth can set you free!" He turned to the younger Patricia, her essence shimmering with urgency. "You know what we need to do, don't you?" But the suited man stepped closer, a smirk tugging at his lips. "Oh, the delusion runs deep. You think the truth will save you? You have no idea what you're dealing with." "That's right!" the woman on the ground chimed in, her voice a strained whisper. "They won't let you walk away. You need to break the cycle!" A roar of panic surged from the crowd as the lights flickered again. Shadows danced threateningly on the walls, and the energy shifted ominously. "Lana!" Henry shouted, determination bubbling inside him. "We can change this!" Suddenly, the younger Patricia stepped forward, her face resolute. "I'll help you, but you need to be ready. Are you sure you want to confront your past?" "Yes, whatever it takes," Lana declared, fierce. The fire in her voice ignited something in the air. "Then let's do this," the younger Patricia said, pulling out a small device. "It's time to reveal everything." As she pressed the button, a bright flash filled the room, illuminating the truth hidden in shadows. Images exploded around them, memories lost, moments of anguish, and faces from the past danced like ghosts in the light. Henry gasped, caught off guard by the memories of laughter and tears. The moments they'd run from now coming to light. The suited man staggered back, eyes wide. "No! Stop this!" But it was too late. The energy built, and a wave of understanding surged through them. Connections snapped into place. The fears, the hopes, even the secrets beginning to unravel. "Together!" the younger Patricia cried. "Together!" echoed everyone else, pulling closer as their collective strength pushed back against the darkness. With a thunderous noise, the reality around them shattered, revealing light and warmth. Everything blurred, and then suddenly, silence cloaked them like a warm blanket. They were all standing together, outside, under a perfect blue sky. The hospital, the chaos, it was gone. The weight that had held them down lifted, leaving behind only the shimmering remnants of their shared struggle. Lana looked around, tears glistening in her eyes. "We made it," she whispered, astonishment washing over her. Henry felt a surge of joy mixed with relief. "Yes, we did, but at what cost?" "Enough of that," Ethan said, wrapping an arm around Lana's shoulders. "We have a chance now. We fight for the future, always." The younger Patricia smiled softly. "Remember, the truth will always find its way through the dark." As they stood together, a new bond forming between them, hope settled like sunlight through the clouds. But even as they embraced the new beginnings, a shadow of uncertainty lingered. Could they truly escape the past, or would it return to haunt them again? The world around them hummed with potential, a mystery waiting to unfold. You must subscribe to this channel now. Don't wait 1 second longer to ensure you don't miss out on more exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to show your support and fuel the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this wild finale. And be a true fan. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to know this ending. Your participation matters, so let's keep this journey going together.